The old saying goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Did Rick Barnes prove that theory wrong this weekend? I'm going to discuss in about 20 seconds.
Please remain seated.
Happy Monday. My name's Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the support this weekend on the Tennessee versus Georgia recap video. Got the most feedback that I've gotten, most views up to this point. This thing's building a little bit at a time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the positive feedback so far on it as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share us out. Got a lot of stuff coming this week. I sat down last night and mapped out the week. I've got upwards of, I won't get it all recorded this week probably, but I've got upwards of 30 ideas in mind this week amongst baseball, basketball, and football. I'm going to upload this video or release it here in just a few minutes. Here in a couple hours, I'm also going to release my first installment of the 2024 Tennessee baseball preview. We'll talk about the pitchers. And then later tonight, I'm going to release the Tennessee-Florida preview for tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But I thought it was interesting this weekend, the offense we saw against Georgia. And I think we saw a little bit of it against Mississippi State last week. Rick Barnes is known, and people have criticized this offense for a few years now. What kind of an offense is it? It seems to be more of a motion offense. But when the going got tough, really the last two games, what happened? It seemed to me they gave it to Dalton Connect and Zakai Ziegler and just told them to go. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe they're still running their offense just the way they normally have. But to me, it looked like it was basically Dalton Connect. You go. And if Dalton Connect doesn't go, Zakai Ziegler, you go. It freed up some guys along the way. They didn't hit all their open shots, but I know it freed up Adu for an open dunk. It freed up some open three-pointers for James and Vescovy, which they didn't do too good of a job. Vescovy did hit a couple on Saturday, so he did have a positive contribution. From what I've seen, I can't find the plus-minus statistics. I've been hard on Vescovy, but apparently he's led the team in plus-minus the last two games, which really surprises me because I really felt like he didn't add much. Either get more at Georgia for sure, but has Rick Barnes maybe abandoned that motion offense? Is it going to be a case we're going to run our offense, and then when it comes time to go, we're going to give it to Dalton Connect and let him go? We're going to give it to Zakai Ziegler and let him go. It's Dalton Connect's show. If we haven't figured it out already, Dalton Connect is him. You go on the road and you have those performances like he has had at North Carolina, at Mississippi State, at Georgia. Dude has been awesome. He has been awesome. Zakai Ziegler has not been as good as Connect, but not many have. Ziegler's turned it on too. These are your two dudes. If you want to know who wants it, Tennessee basketball, it's definitely those two. Your third guy is Jonas Adu. It's established at this point. That is your three guys. What you get out of James and Vescovy, you need solid across the board from them. I don't think at this point you need them to score 20 points a game. It would be nice to see them around 10, though. James is more of a do-it-all guy. Vescovy's going to sit outside and shoot. His percentages needs to go up. When he takes off driving, the other team could almost get out of the way, and he's going to jump up in there and throw some ungodly pass out. The guy, he has no confidence when he drives the lane. I fully believe. I've watched him for, 5 years now, going back 4 or 5 years. He just doesn't have that confidence when he drives the lane. He is going to be a set shooter. He can get open. Tennessee needs him doing that. But has Rick Barnes evolved in terms of his offensive philosophy? I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow night against Florida. Funny thing has been Connect hasn't been nearly as good at home as he's been on the road. So do they resort back to those ways against Florida and then Saturday against Alabama? I'm curious to see it. I'm curious to see, do they come out of the gates and say, here you go, Connect, you go. You and Ziegler carry us. What that's going to lead to, if they continue to run that, teams are going to key on, that's going to open guys up. If I'm another team, I'm going to make Vescovy, I'm going to make James beat me on the outside. I'm going to make Meshack beat me on the outside. I'm going to make Awaka beat me on the inside. He's normally not known for his offensive game. I'm going to make Dill Young beat me from there. I'm going to make Gainey, who is just in a bad slump right now. So does Barnes go to this philosophy and teams key on Connect, teams key on Ziegler? Or is this something it's going to depend on the scenario? I'm really interested to see how it is, because obviously they didn't have that philosophy against Ole Miss and they blew them out of the building. On the road, when it got hostile, though, Dalton Connect took it over. It was his show. And obviously I'm not in the huddle, but it looks to me like it. Give it to him and go. My second bullet point, I hit non-negotiables. You're not going to play for Rick Barnes if you don't play defense. That's one of the first things they mentioned Saturday about the points. Somebody asked about Rick Barnes, Dalton Connect's defense on it. And he said, well, he's getting better at it, basically. So guys may get – we've seen it with guys. If you're not playing on the defensive end, you're not playing for Rick Barnes. It's not going to change. He's a defensive-minded guy. He would rather win games on defense, holding teams low and probably scoring low. Obviously, he wants to score higher, but I think Rick Barnes would prefer that old-school grinded-out game opposed to definitely an up and down the court, just going back and forth game. That's a non-negotiable with him. One of the first things he's always talking about in his press conferences when asked about a player, he's always bringing up their defense. Always. They played good defense tonight. They stepped it up on defense tonight. They surprised us on defense tonight. It's something along those lines. So it's not going to change. That is the Barnes philosophy. But I hope this Rick Barnes evolution wasn't just 2 games. I'm curious to see it, because come March, when it gets tougher, when you start getting into tougher teams. I've been on record on another show that I used to do saying I could care less or could not care less about the SEC tournament. It's a waste of time to me. It did not bother me when Tennessee went out in baseball after the first game last year. Did not bother me, because the year before they won it and then they went out. Last year, they didn't do as good in basketball in the tournament. Got a Sweet 16 run. Year before they won the SEC basketball tournament, went out in the second round. I do not care about the SEC basketball nor baseball tournament. And I know we're talking about basketball here, but that gives you my feeling. They're a waste of time. All they are is a moneymaker. Teams' fate should not be determined on a 5-day tournament. It's ridiculous. It's one of the dumbest things I've seen. Your postseason bid, especially if you're in a smaller conference, depends on that tournament. That's a joke. That is a joke. I would just assume they add 2 more games, do away with these conference tournaments. They're all for the fans. And I don't know many fans now. There's some that like them. I don't know others. It's just like, yeah, you kind of get caught in the moment, but going in, if your team, for example, Tennessee goes out, gets extra rest, and then makes that run in the NCAA tournament, it's worth it. It is worth it to go out. Sometimes that team hits a hot streak, goes through their conference tournament, and then makes a Final Four run. We've seen Auburn do it a few years back with Bruce Pearl. Should have won the championship. They really got screwed on a call against Virginia in that game. Last thing we'll touch on here is the full court press going to become more of a Barnes staple. When they went to it at Mississippi State, they made a run. Gave Georgia a hard time with it last week as well. This team really seeing, and they're playing faster at that point. And I think it goes to something needs to be said for playing faster. You know, you get your guys, your Connect, your Ziegler. They start playing faster, these guys come to life. It's just like if anything, you start going faster, that body gets cranking. I wonder if it's the same thing. You're playing that full court defense. You're constantly going. It's got to amp you up some. Barnes has been asked about it, and he said, well, they can. He's not fully committed that they will. This team's way moving forward. I really believe this at this point is going full court press. I don't know if you can do it for 40 minutes. All right, this is not the old Nolan Richardson 40 minutes of hell. I don't know if they go 40 minutes with it. They don't play enough guys. They've been playing 9, started out with 8. Dale Young's getting a little more run at this point. But when you got guys like Connect and Ziegler playing 35-plus minutes, I don't know how much you can go a full court defense. But I'm curious to see it, and I think I like the signs I'm seeing. I like how Barnes has evolved a little bit the last 2 games on things. Defense is always going to be a non-negotiable, for sure. They gave Connect and Ziegler the keys and let them run with it. They opened up things with that full court defense. Do they run it more against Florida? Do they come out of the gates with it tomorrow night? Or do they ease into it, run their motion offense, run their half-court defense? Remains to be seen. I'll preview the game later on tonight. Probably drop something around 8 o'clock tonight if you're interested in that. Of course, it'll be up tomorrow as well. Game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, and then I'll have a post-game wrap tomorrow night. And then here in a couple hours, I'm going to drop a baseball preview, previewing the pitchers. I'm excited about this series I'm going to come up with. I'm going to preview each position, lead up into where this Tennessee team can go this year. But as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share it out. I appreciate you guys that have tuned in. Some of you coming over, seen guys who've seen me before back in the old Indy Kid days. So Indy Kid is retired and done with. Frank Rock is the name. Tennessee sports is the game. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe up in Tennessee in that snow. And the only last thing I have to say is go Vols.
Everyone rejects me, even in my best dreams.